Rum bum bum. The theme song's back, Daniel. Hello, it's the Lapdown Podcast. I'm Alex. I'm here with Dan Jads. Dan, how are we?
I'm good. I'm so much better for hearing your rendition of whatever the hell that song's called. Is it actually a piece of music?
It's the F1 anthem. It's an official custom thing.
So it wasn't like originally done by Beethoven in like 1633 as part of his 17th symphony or something. It was specifically made for Formula One.
Yes, by Brian Tyler, who I'm going to be honest with you, was a lot younger than I thought he was going to be. Because when you think composers, you don't think bloke in his mid to late 30s.
No, but when you think Formula One, you do think of like sweaty teenagers sat in their bedrooms.
Possibly, yes. Yes, it was. I mean, I don't think Brian's sweaty, but Brian did make an absolute banger of a theme song, and it's back, and we've heard it because cars are going round in sort of a squiggly circle.
It's a great track, Bahrain.
I'm terrible at it on the game.
That's utterly irrelevant. It's just a good track.
I rank my tracks based on how can I complete a clean and reliable lap in the game, which is why Barcelona needs to stay on the calendar. We can have Madrid as well, it's fine, but I want Barcelona as well. We need 2 Spanish Grand Prix.
I mean, based on the state of your wing mirror that I saw the other day, I'm not surprised that you're slightly terrified about the prospect of parking your Formula One car in a multi-story car park in Madrid.
It was
so
not
I get
my
it.
fault. It was not my fault. But we have racing. It's a race weekend this weekend. A little bit of breaking the fourth wall. We're recording this on Thursday evening. So after the FP1 and FP2 sessions, because we're racing on Saturday this week. And so we've got some things to talk about. We've got testing that we can run through. I mean, I don't think either of us watched a huge amount of testing because it's genuinely 24 hours worth of cars going at like 60% speed around a track with some like shopping trolleys attached to them. But it happened, and we all went, "Oh, Red Bull are quick again. That's a shame."
Yeah, it's nice. It's nice that you can kind of throw back to the good old days. And none of that even existed. And I was thinking about it this morning, actually, when I was watching FP1 and FP2. I was thinking, I'm sure when I grew up, I don't think any of this stuff was televised. I'm sure it wasn't. And I'm sure it was just a case of like, you turn the TV on a Saturday and it just go, qualifying! And you'd sit there as a kid and you just go, wow, they've just unboxed these Formula One cars and they're just going to go really quickly. You had no idea. I assume they practiced back in the 90s, but I have no idea.
Well, I think even a couple of years ago, I think there wasn't there 2 tests where you'd have the untelevised test the week before and everyone would be climbing up trees, taking like terrible Nokia 3810 like videos of, and you'd be like, oh my God, that car's got a rear wing.
Yeah.
And then now we actually just get the full televised one. I don't mind that idea though, that there's no televised testing. Right? Bin that off. We don't need to see the testing. It doesn't tell us anything, and we just spend a week getting carried away with it.
Yeah.
And let's not televise FP1, 2, or 3 of the first race weekend. Fuck it. We don't need it, right? It's not teaching me anything because Red Bull still haven't used 4th gear, so it doesn't matter. Let's just go straight to quali to start the season. The drama.
It would be good.
The drama.
It would be good. I mean, from second place down would be really interesting. Well, maybe third place down, because like old Charlie Leclerc did pretty well, didn't he, on a Saturday, or what turns out to be a Friday this week last year. So yeah, mate, first and second was good, and then the rest of it was. I like it, mate. Or better yet, why don't they just scrap quali altogether, and just pick the names out of hats, and just go, Zhou Guanyu, congratulations, you're starting in pole this week.
Or. Right, hear me out here.
Okay.
Dynamic grid system. We're fixing Formula One on the podcast. Well, this was not. We made notes before this, and our notes were not fix Formula One. But here we go.
Call this a tangent.
Yes, we're going very much into the gravel, but that's fine. Right, hear me out on this. New format. We don't need qualifying, right? We can do it for fun if you want. Maybe we do it for a bonus point on a Saturday. You keep your ticket revenue, right?
Okay.
Business brain, always thinking. The grid is the reverse driver standings from week to week. You move up the driver standings, you move down the grid. Go fuck yourself. It doesn't matter. It's not my problem. Shouldn't have been good last week, should you?
I like it. Honestly, I think there's value. I think there's... Or...
Stefano, get him on the phone.
Or, hear me out. Mm-hmm. What if we had a practice session on, say, day 1 with then quali, and then on day 2 we had, say, I don't know, another practice session, plus then a race that was a bit shorter, say 20% ish.
So less of a marathon, more of a sprint sort of thing.
That is the word I was thinking of. And then on day 3, then we have a race.
Okay, but won't the results of the little one the day before just spoil the results of the big one the day after?
Could be, yeah. What if everybody then had to like swap cars and you know, like rental karting, for example, and you never know what you're going to get, do you? And from one 15-minute session to the next 15-minute session, you might get cart number 7 and then cart number 38. Do that. So Lewis just turns up. It ended up being a bit like a swingers party, wouldn't it? With all these Formula One car keys in a bowl, and everybody just walks around just picking a key out and just go, "Oh, I've got an Alpha Kick Sauber Towery thing."
Off topic, does anyone know what key Lando Norris has?
Didn't you stalk him in Bali over the winter?
He was he saw I'd gone to Indonesia. Then he was suddenly in Indonesia. We just need to put 2 and 2 together on that. That's all I'm going to say. Running with this, right? And running is a key word here, right? And we'll stop trying to... Maybe every week we try and fix Formula One a little bit different. Maybe that's a new segment. But you know The Amazing Race, the TV reality program?
Is that the one where they get like celebrities that people haven't heard of for a while and they get them to race around the world?
They might have done a celebrity one. It's the same. It's race around the world kind of thing, right? Every year they start that with they're all together and the host Phil something Keegan, good host anyway. His name's Phil. They all start in a line, all 10 teams, right? And there's always some vehicles off, about 100 yards away.
So no quality.
Usually down a hill. No quality.
So you'd have them 20 wide on the start-finish straight
No,
line.
no. This is
Grand Prix.
I haven't got to my Formula One idea yet. I'm painting the picture.
Sorry.
I'm laying the base layer here.
Sorry,
right?
I've gone early there.
I'm explaining The Amazing Race to people that haven't seen The Amazing Race, right?
Like me.
But imagine, right, we added a running component to Formula One and a randomized car, right? So they all build their own car still. Bring your own car.
Yeah.
And then we lay them all out in the grid, right? And they're all lined up 20 wide, right? So we're going to need to make some track changes. Or you line them up. The turning circle on a Formula One car, famously good. So you line them up facing the stands so that they can all fit. So we're lining up down the pit. I
don't want to break it to you, but that's not groundbreaking.
No, we're not there.
No,
right.
Okay, sorry. I've gone early again.
Here we go, right? Yeah, you're Valtteri in FP2. You've gone like 2.5 seconds before the lights and got a driver reprimand. Green lights, right? Not green lights. Red lights are on, right? And then lights are out.
Yeah.
And away they go. But they is the drivers running in their little driver booties from the end of the pit lane. And they've got to vault the fence. And then your question is, right? Am I going for my car? Am I going for the nearest car? Am I going to back myself? Am I going to push George Russell into a bush to get to the Red Bull that is the furthest away down the grid? But is the time it's going to take me to run to that Red Bull going to be longer than the time I'll make up in that Red Bull? Because by this point, Yuki Tsunoda's already jumped in the house at the back of the grid. He's off in a Formula One car. I can't keep up with that. He's in a Formula One car. And then, we just go racing after that. Discuss.
Probably. Do you know what? I think it's great. I think it's great, and I think you should give yourself a proper good pat on the back for that because I think it's good. I think it's elaborate. I think it's detailed as well.
Yeah, I've been through it.
I don't see Stefano taking you up on that one.
Is it a cash thing?
I feel the danger of people being run over might have something to do with it, but because you remember at Silverstone the other year when it was fashionable to wear an orange t-shirt and kind of just sit down in roads and exactly
Max Verstappen.
No, not them people. The people that used to cable tie themselves to like M25 gantries and stuff like that. I don't think it was particularly well received in the fact that you could get run over by a Formula One car. So, but to be fair, I don't think getting run over by any form of car is probably wise or advised. But I guess look, one at 300 miles an hour probably wouldn't be better.
I'm just the creative brains, and then we hand this over to the ops people, and they can work. We'll put it in the maybe part. We don't need a decision now. No bad ideas in a brainstorm, and then we go. We're off and away. Nice. Right? I think we're off and away.
So what's going on this weekend anyway?
Racing. We're going racing.
Finally.
Finally.
Do you know
Finally.
what? In some other sports or one other sport that you and I kind of operate in, you often say, "Oh, it's been a long winter," don't you? It's been a long winter.
Yeah.
You can't say that with Formula One because last season's season finished about 3 weeks ago.
Yeah, you've got like 90 days between, Abu Dhabi and testing, which it still feels like a long time when you're in the middle of it. You think like, oh, I'd like some Formula One on this weekend, and you don't get it. But it is compared to other sports. Like you look like NFL, it feels like there's a long old gap between the Super Bowl and like late September, early October. Yeah. Like we're a good 7 months off. They're playing for less time than their baseball's the other way around. Baseball, they play like 180 regular season games, which is just a madness. But
no one watches that, so it doesn't count as a real sport.
It's a comparatively short break by standards, and yet a lot has gone on. Not that we're going to try and run through and recap it, but we're ready to get hurt again. And I think we are going to get hurt again because the Red Bull is outrageous by every metric we've seen so far. It appears to be. It's a completely different car. They've gone back to the drawing board and made it considerably better than it was already.
Yeah, I watched both. I watched both. I watched about half an hour of both of the sessions today, and the one thing that I thought really stood out from it was the whoever it was on comms. I can't remember who it was. It might have been Chanduk, not Narain Kartikeyan, but the other famous Indian Formula One driver.
Correct.
And they were saying about the fact that Adrian Newey and Red Bull spent quite a lot of time actually researching and investigating other teams on the grid. And you'd think when you've got the car that's a second a lap quicker than everybody else anyway, why would you bother wasting your time? But we spoke about it the other week, didn't we? About were Mercedes kind of barking up the right tree? Was the little kind of Toto dog from The Wizard of Oz, was it yapping up the right tree? But just didn't have the minerals to get itself up there. But the big Alsatian came along, the big Adrian Newey Alsatian came along, found the tree and went, well, that works. Pissed up it, my territory, and they've worked it out. The one thing that does massively stand out though are those kind of like big kind of 80s shoulder pad things that they've kind of stuck on the car that nobody. I don't think. In this kind of series of regulations, we've seen any team even try anything like that. So for them to kind of go, ta-da, seems a bit rogue.
It sort of seems like I think Ferrari have dabbled in a similar thing before where they're essentially starting to use the halo as something beyond just being the halo. Because that's what these shoulders do on the Red Bull, don't they? They essentially are the extended arms of the halo, and they've sort of finally gone, oh, actually, like, why don't we use, X or Y? But yeah, I wonder as well, I mean, I'm not an engineer. I'm trying to build a Lego McLaren car, and I spent 22 minutes last night looking for the first piece in order to start. And I think Adrian would have built it 4 times in that process, and I had instructions. But I wonder if it's, and like you take the Mercedes example, and I can't remember if I read this somewhere or was chatting to someone about it, but there might just be like this one little turning point where you'd done everything right and maybe everything else was right. Maybe you built 97% of the perfect car, but you made one design choice on this one bit here, which threw everything else off and broke your concept. And because you couldn't find that, bit of gravel in your shoe, you go, well, I need new trainers now. And you chuck the whole lot out. But as you chucked them out, the bit of gravel flew out, and Adrian was walking past at the time. And I'm not suggesting that Adrian goes through people's bins, right? I need to legally say I'm not making that accusation. But if as you've thrown them out there, the bit of gravel's fallen out, but they're brand new Air Force Ones, and on the way past, Adrian's gone, they're nice. Hello. He's picked them up. He's taken them home. He's worn a different pair of socks. He's put them on, and they were as good as, they appeared to be.
Yeah. And you'd struggle really to come up with a theory to say that Adrian Newey would be wrong as well, wouldn't he? Yeah. We spoke about it, how successful he's been in the past, and we know how successful this car's been over this set of regulations as well. So for him to have spotted something on, dare I say it, a Haas or even an Andretti render, and for him to kind of go, that'll work. And that's probably all it took, actually, was just a glance. Whilst he was having his coffee in the morning or tea, whatever he might consume. Do you reckon he's a tea or coffee man, Adrian Newey, in the morning?
Oh, we asked now. These are the good questions because I've just watched the Drive to Survive episode where there's like a good 10 minutes about what James Vales drinks and his discussions on caffeine, and it was excellent. Adrian. No, he's tea. I don't think he needs caffeine. I think the caffeine would he'd be going too quick.
I think
and
so.
I think he'd...
And follow up, do you think he's a teabag man, or do you think he's kind of a loose
No,
tea?
he's teapot. No, he's teapot.
Yeah, I thought he might have been a proper teapot man.
100%.
I mean, I think he went to school with Jeremy Clarkson. That's completely irrelevant. No kind of...
I don't think Jeremy's teapotting.
No, he doesn't strike me as a teapotter.
Doesn't
he
have the
strikes me
patience
as a
for a
coffee
teapot.
man.
He's instant. I don't think he's got a fancy coffee machine.
No.
No, pods. He's a pods man.
Do you think he's pods?
Yeah, he's pods.
Which is quicker? I'm going to say instant is quicker.
No, because instant you're dicking about with spoons and you got a jar of this and a jar of that. Pod, I'm mug under, pod in, bang. It's making it. I'm away.
He's at them.
He's drinking an Americano as well. There's no milk for Jeremy.
No, he doesn't need it. Anyway, what were we talking about?
We did biscuits last week. We've done what does Adrian Newey drink in the morning this week? But no, I think I wonder as well whether, and I know the AI is the buzzword across the board, but when you've got this concept of Adrian Newey can walk up and down the grid as the cyborg that he is with his 3D scanning eyes and all the rest of it, and he can look at what other cars have done and gone, that's interesting. What if I took that bit from there and that bit from there and builds these Franken cars in his head or whatever? There's surely got to, and it might already be a thing, or it's going to get to become a thing where you can go on to F1 GTP and say, design me a ground effect F1 car, and just press generate on that like 60 times, and then just take those and look at them all and look at what it's done with different bits, and then just sample the different bits, stick them in the sim and see what happens. I think we have to surely get to a point where you're going to start seeing elements of AI in design of these cars because of the potential that you can teach your own AI. You can machine learn your own AI. So if Red Bull took the 15, 20, 150, I don't know how many variants of a floor they might sort of draft up, stick them all in and ask the robot which of these flows best, and then start there and then stick it back in and go, does this flow better than this one? And let that do some of the legwork for you. Do digital wind tunnel time.
That's going to be like an episode of Futurama, isn't it? Like Adrian Newey's head's going to be in a jar.
Yeah.
And that's how that's where this story's going. So
yeah,
I can see that working. However, Max was sixth fastest in FP1 and FP2. And Checo was so slow he didn't even make it in the... Well, no, I think he just snuck in the top 10. But basically, consistently 4/10 slower than the fastest time for Ricciardo and Hamilton for FP1 and FP2. Max was, slow.
Yeah, but that's because he was only using 1 foot. He didn't 2-foot brake. He just thought this would be fun. Hey lads, watch this. I'm going to sit on my left leg and I'm just going to use my right foot.
Is there any hope that we turn up on Saturday at whatever time it is in the UK?
3 o'clock. 3 o'clock GMT.
Something interesting happens? Or is it just a case... No, that's unkind to be fair, because something interesting will happen. But
yeah,
is there any chance at all that we get to 4:30, 4:45, depending on if there's been a red flag or something, because there might have been a speck of rain and therefore we have to abandon the first hour of the race or something. But is there a chance that we're talking more than about Max Verstappen kind of romping home to like a 45-second victory, which leads quite nicely into a question, actually. Whilst we're on this kind of this theme, we've got blue flags. We've got blue flags.
They're flashing. The boards.
Johnny_Rage or Jonathan Gibbs. Get around him. Is that what we say in Formula One? No, it's not.
Get around him. It's a very Australian phrase.
Yeah.
Very Australian phrase.
Yeah, we'll figure it. Oscar will say it.
Get around him.
Oscar will say it. Danny Ric will say it.
Oh, if you go to Danny Ric, get around him, he'll be like, yeah, I am. Yeah.
Alan Jones,
Get
Mark
around
Webber.
Danny Ric.
They'll all know. They'll all know. Anyway, will those cracked Red Bulls lap half the field this Saturday? ? I hope they blow up. TBH.
Look, I don't think they'll lap half the field, but I do think Max Verstappen wins quite comfortably because I don't think they've come close to actually putting their foot down yet. and I think they've quite deliberately just given everybody a throw along, a little motivation. Come on, lads! Like it's like when you're playing backyard cricket with your dad, and every now and then you know he played inside the line of that one on purpose. Like it still feels good, and it feels good for Danny Ric to have topped FB1, but Danny Ric knows that the Red Bulls were playing inside the line of that one because they were sick of batting. Like I think it's all signs point to that.
Do you know, assuming this race is entirely green flag running, and there's no kind of safety cars, no red flags, none of this other stuff that kind of might affect things. For assuming Max and Red Bull has the same level of performance as what he had last year, and that kind of percentile better than what he has of everybody else, lapping half the field isn't that big of an achievement, because you can chuck the two Hasses in there, so they're done. You've lapped them, no worries. Chalk them in. The Alpines look slower than a slow thing on a slow day, so you can chuck them in. That's 4 done straight away. Then you can probably chuck the two Alpha Saubers, kicky, stakey, super Formula One things. So there's 6 gone straight away. You can definitely get Logan Sargent in there. So there's 7. Then you're up to 13 at that point, and then that's where you start getting a little bit sticky.
You come up against like Alex Albon at that point, who has been driving the arse off that Williams, like dragging it places it shouldn't go. Yeah, but he might put you in the wall as well.
No, because the thing is, he races for a team called RB, which although really well hidden, to be fair, and you might not have picked it up, but I think there's a phrase, like an old English phrase that you might not be familiar with, but it's "don't bite the hand that feeds you." And very, very subtly, the two teams are actually quite closely linked. So I don't think Yuki punts Max into the wall whilst Yuki's being lapped.
Not deliberately, but
no, I don't think he does it full stop.
Yuki gets a bit red misty at times.
No, because
and also he might think it's Checo, and he thinks, "Hey, that's the seat I want." Yeah,
I think the second that you kind of think that, and then I think Uncle Helmut, I think he's kind of wired into all of these Red Bull drive, and if there's any kind of inclination of Yuki doing that. Did you ever watch Alice in Borderland on Netflix, where if you lost the card game, this little laser beam came down from the sky and just killed you? Just went straight through your head, done on the floor.
Did you have to play the game, or
was
it a choice?
It was very strange. I'm not quite sure, but something happened at Shibuya Station in Tokyo, and people ended up in some kind of game / it was still Tokyo, but there wasn't anybody else there other than people that played. It was very odd. And anyway, if you failed these games, basically these laser beams came down, and that is essentially what I feel like Red Bull and Helmut Marko have got, some kind of like interstellar laser beaming spaceship machine thing. And if it's anything that goes against the party line, it's just beep, done.
Well, it might be on that. They might put the laser on that drone they've made.
When was the last time you heard from Danny Kvyat?
That's a good point. That's a good point. Doesn't he race in
probably? Yeah, he does something, doesn't he? I'm sure.
E maybe. Did you see that drone video they did, by the way, Red Bull? Because they could put the laser on the drone. Because that was kick ass.
Good. That was good.
It's like 0 to 100 in 2 seconds, then 100 to 300 in another 2 seconds or something. Like, what do you mean? What do you mean 0 to 300 in 4 seconds? Stop. But Adrian designed that as well. Adrian probably, right, while he waited for his teapot, went drone 0 to 300 in 4. And he's designed it up here. And then he just sends that email off and it happens. Fair play to him. That video was incredible. But I think it's a valid point. If other people, by the way, have any questions, hot takes, rants they want to make, want to call us out on something, lapdownpod on X, Insta, TikTok. You can email lapdownpod@gmail.com if you want to send us questions, thoughts, anything, voice notes, messages. Please do. Let's get involved and we can have a chat. But no, the Gibbs, look, I said this to you earlier, and I think we need to run with it. I think Max has won, right? And I think we can all agree that Max has kind of won. And Max has kind of won because he's a phenomenal driver that takes a phenomenal car and makes it double phenomenal, right? Checo kind of proved last year that that car is not unbeatable, and the car itself is not impenetrable, But when you put it with a generational driver like Max Verstappen is, it's a pretty hard thing to beat. So I'm going to propose something to you, Danny Jads. The people's race, right? Hear me out on this, right? I'm cooking again. The people's race. Max can win. Max has won the actual race, the Grand Prix, fine, right? The People's Prix, right? The PP, right? That's what we're here for, is for the PP, right? Who's finishing second each week? They're the People's Champion, right? Okay, Max, you've got the real one. Dan, who's your People's Champion for Bahrain? Round 1, 2024. Who's got the PP?
Has the Communist Party music stopped playing now?
It's Riga. It's not miles off the F1 anthem. There's a lot of horns and stuff generally, a lot of woodwind and brass.
Who is winning the PP? And as you said, who's finishing second? I mean, there's a lot of PP related innuendos there, isn't there? That kind of need potentially unpacking. And I feel like you've done that on purpose, and I like it. However, I think some kind of branding might need to change because I don't know how kind of child friendly that is. But anyway, who is my PP of the week or PP of Bahrain?
PP of the week. There it is.
Sultan
Lock it in.
PP of Bahrain.
Seat Tyres. Bahrain PP of the week.
I'm going to give it to George.
Ooh.
George is my PP.
You've seen FP2 and you like what you see.
Yeah.
From Georgie.
I'm giving George the PP of the week.
Interesting. See, I always have to be a little bit careful, right? As a McLaren fan, I'm filled with a lot of hopium, right? And then I saw FP1. And honestly, and you messaged me this, I think.
Yeah.
Actually, it might not have been you. You messaged me about something with it, but that's my dream podium that's been pulled out there. It's Danny Ric and 2 papayas in FP1. End the season there. See you all next Feb.
I assumed you probably enjoyed it.
That was perfection. In any order, I'll take those 3 up there. There is part of me that thinks Lando's been Lando through testing, but was a little bit less Lando than normal in terms of downplaying it, which in my mind means that they've actually built a rocket ship, but Lando is British, and you can't ever actually compliment yourself or be happy about anything as a Briton. So I think he might be a chance, and potentially their FP1 pace might have shown that. I think some of the race pace simulations, they were maybe a little bit down. But some of those simulations look like we might be spicy for the PP. Merc are up there, Aston are up there, McLaren are up there, RB have shown good pace out of nowhere. There's RB with a steel chair off the top rope. No one saw, well, no, we did all see that coming. It's like the RB19, but reincarnated. I think Ferrari are going to be there or thereabouts all year. I think your new boys are a good chance to be there. I think Charles might do something decent in quali. He is very good as a quali driver, and I think that Ferrari is well put together. Whether it can go quite so far, I don't know. Seemed like in testing they've maybe resolved some of those tyre wear issues, which are sort of what really held them back a little bit last year in actual race trim. So I think I'm going to go Lando or Charles for my PP.
No. There is only one. There's one PP. You can't spread bet your PPs here. You can't. That is not within the rules of this game that we have just created 5 minutes ago. There is one name and one name only here.
Danny Ric.
Done.
No, I think it's going to be.
There we go. We had it penciled in. Done.
I think it's going to be Charles. I think the Ferrari looks good. I think the McLaren is going to. And here's a bold call for you. Lando's going to rock double-digit podiums this year. I think that McLaren will be good, and it will be very good where it's good, and he will at least mean that Max has to drive properly for some races. I don't think he'll get past him, but I think he'll keep him honest.
Yeah,
I think there might be some tracks where there may be more 4th or 5th, because that McLaren seems to be a little bit more track dependent than others. But I think Bahrain's not historically been great for the McLarens, and I think Ferrari might look pretty decent, pretty racy. So
I'm okay with that.
I'm okay with that.
I'm okay with it. It works.
Right, we have a segment, and as we go along with this, we've looked at the top of the field, right? Yeah. And now we want to go all the way down to the other end of the field. Who's going to be a lap down for you this weekend, Dan Jadson. We should specify, we don't mean literally. They don't actually have to be blue flagged and driven past. But who's going to be genuinely struggling? Who's going to have a stinker this weekend? Who might as well have stayed in bed and not taken the 140 odd people that it takes to make a race weekend happen out to Bahrain?
That's a great question. And I think as well, based on what we've seen over the last couple of years from a couple of these drivers, there is quite a lot of low-hanging fruit available on this tree.
It's an unfortunately popular category with a lot of nominees.
There are, to be fair, all 20 people will be up for grabs, won't they? Let's be honest. As I say, some of them were slightly easier to grab than others, like a Canadian, for example, and an American man.
Yes,
they will be there. To be fair, they might have already fallen. They might not even need picking anymore. They might already be down there. However, who's going to be... How are we going to categorise this as well as to who's had a bit of a stinker?
It can take many forms.
Yeah,
it can take. I think I don't think either of us are ever going to suggest that Max Verstappen is our lap down candidate, but also Max finishing fifth, I would argue, would qualify him to have won the lap down trophy for that week. Yeah. So it's all subjective. It's all relative. It's who's having a stinker.
Well, I'm going strong.
A weekend.
I'm going Sergio Perez.
Ooh, okay.
Lock
Don't
it
mind
in.
It.
He's
Don't
looking over his shoulder now. He's looking at Danny Ric in that V car RB car thing that actually looks the bollocks, to be fair, when it goes around under light. It looks really good. Yep. Nothing to do with performance, just looks nice. And I think he's going to be a little bit flappy this year. I think he's going to be a bit panicked. I think those conversations about who replaces Sergio Perez are going to come a little bit earlier than what they have done in recent years, because ultimately what I think Lewis has kind of kicked off with his move to Ferrari at the end of the next season. I think it's all going to happen earlier, and I think he's going to struggle until he obviously gets to like one of the street circuits, and he's going to piss all over everybody, and everyone's going to go, he's quality. But I think this weekend's my blue flag, my lap down, whatever you want to call it, Sergio.
No,
Perez.
I like it. I think. Look, you don't want to read too much into like tiny split-second decisions, because you make a hell of a lot of those as a Formula One driver, and if we start blaming people for those, then we're done for. But you look at the Mexican Grand Prix last year, or I believe, the Mexico City Grand Prix officially now. That was
sponsored by Deliveroo.
That was a pressure crack that happened there. He was so obsessed with, I need to be ahead out of this first corner, so I'm not battling. I can't let Max get miles away, that he kind of forgot that there were 19 other drivers also near you right now, because you just started and you can't just drive where you like, sir. It was like an F1 23 online lobby that, we might as well be doing time trial laps. And I think there is that we could see more of that this year. He might have a hell of a year, and he seems like a lovely guy, and, it would be nice to see him do well, but I could see that potentially happening. He's going to have to start to drive more and more desperately. And that could lead that when you drive best, and I even see this in my terrible sim racing, but when you're relaxed and not putting pressure on yourself and you're just dicking about, you put your better laps in, because you're not trying to find every 0.1 in every little situation, and smooth is fast and fast is smooth, isn't it? So no, I think that's a decent shout. Look, I'm gonna, not that we're sort of necessarily gonna keep score on this. But so I don't feel bad about taking what I think is perceivably the easy route out of this.
There's a lot of easy routes here, AB. Like there is.
True.
I was going to say, I still think there's quite a big debate as to which one of these easy routes you're going to go for.
Alpine look absolutely stinking.
Okay.
In every metric, the car looks hideous. They forgot to paint the car. They designed two cars, both of which were equally the worst livery on the grid. And then they've turned up with a car that is, by all reports, 10 kilos overweight, which is a hell of a lot in the world of F1. An engine that is 3 to 4 tenths a lap underpowered. And an aero package that is not optimized whatsoever. And it's like, what have you actually done right in this car? Does the water bottle work? Like, does the rain light come on? Like, does the radio work? Are we going to have the Netflix Drive to Survive producers' favorite thing of radio check Pierre, that they feel the need to play 8 times an episode as if to prove a point that they have radios into the car? There's a great chance that they're going to get like that TikTok trend of just the horrible crackle audio mic all season is just going to be Alpine. I mean, you can't read fully into testing. You don't know what programs they're running, but they were miles off in FP1 and still a long way off in FP2. That I would be happy to say that I think one of them doesn't finish because I think it blows up, and I think the other one is somewhere below P18.
Okay. Similar to the PP. Similar to your PP, you can only have one. You can't have two PPs. I need one blue flag of the week.
Out of the two
I need a
Alpines,
Pierre.
you want a driver.
Esteban.
PFPP. Well, not PP.
No, hang on.
But
That's the other way
opposite
around. Yeah.
But it's just PPP, isn't it? It's fine.
Yeah, okay, yeah.
No, I think they're both going to be... I think I could take it. I think it's a free hit. I'll just go Pierre because why not? He's disgustingly attractive, isn't he? So that makes me hate him. So Pierre, I'm sorry, but I think you're going to be a lap down this week.
Good enough reason. Good enough
Said it.
reason.
There
Is there
it is.
anything else on the agenda to rattle through pre-Bahrain? Did we? Did speak a little bit about the intro, didn't we? I didn't know whether there was anything
we've got a
more that we
new
needed to
new intro. The anthem hasn't changed. The anthem is still excellent.
Still a club banger.
The videos this year, not great. I think they've been spooked by the George Russell T-pose meme.
Yeah.
Whoever makes this, and I don't know if it's like an in-house FOM or Liberty creative team, or if they get a different agency in each year or what. But it feels like a backward step this year, the intros. And I know it's a weird thing to get hung up on, but it is kind of a cool moment every year when you see the new titles come out, because you're going to see it God knows how many times over the course of the season. And I thought they actually, for the most part, last year's were quite good. It was kind of nice having that light boxy hallway type big screen thing that they interacted with. That was quite effective. And, you know, as much as he has been memed for it, the George Russell thing was kind of cool, and there was different elements and all the poses and whatever. This year's is just a bit dry.
Yeah, I agree. It's not the same standard, is it? I love the fact that they managed to get so much buy-in from these blokes as well. We're talking like multi-millionaires times over that pretty much are up there with the 20 coolest people on the planet. And yet somehow some specky media person in Formula One manages to drop Lewis Hamilton a WhatsApp and goes, "Oh, Lewis, and don't forget to pop down so we can do some kind of pizza flavor ranking video thing for TikTok." And Lewis goes, "No problem, I'll be there in 5 minutes." Firstly, that confuses the crap out of me as they get that much buy-in in the first place.
I think it's contractual, so I think they have to have it. I think it's fine. I think it's money talks on that one.
Yeah,
But...
well, obviously, and they wouldn't be multi-millionaires if they didn't have those contracts. But anyway, it's still kind of... Because I think I would look at it and go, nah, I can't be asked. I would very much fall in the Kimi Räikkönen kind of school of Formula One content. Is one of the best bits of content they've ever made was it like naming the world champions backwards or something? And Kimi did about 2 years and just went, "Oh well, can I go now? Cheers."
Well, Lewis doesn't do Secret Santa. He's the only driver on the grid that doesn't do the F1 Secret Santa every year, and it's like, come on, man! Like, surely that's the one that you do. Like, you just get your assistant to go buy something for Esty Bestie. Like, it's a weird thing to skip out on. But yeah,
anyway, intro.
Yeah,
I agree. Oscar looks odd. Sergio
Oscar's
looks
got
odd.
weird daddy vibes from Oscar.
Yuki, odd.
Yuki, scary. That's some... I've not seen it, but I know enough of the references. That's some Squid Game, like, red light, blue light, or red light, green light doll thing that Yuki's given off there. The only one that nailed it, and he seems to nail it in every single bit of media, the man knows how to be in front of a camera. Lewis Hamilton looks incredible in it again, and has got quite a menacing, like, I'm fucking quick, like, hand, you know, ringing his, like, fists kind of thing. Yeah. He's the only one that I go, actually, yeah, you look like a kick-ass sportsman in that. Everyone else was just a little bit basic. And yeah, I think it's a step backwards on.
He's quite mature in comparison to a lot of the grid, though. Like, there are a lot of children driving Formula One cars right now, so I can understand that they might be a little bit green in comparison to the 7-time world champion that's been and done it. He's done it before.
He's honed the face.
Yeah. He knows his way around a photo shoot, doesn't he? Danny Ric looks decent, doesn't he? He's done it before. Fernando, fine. Everybody else is about 13 years old in a Formula One car. And therefore, I think they're going to take a little bit of time just to get used to the fact that there's going to be a camera there. And to be honest with you, do I think it? I reckon Lewis just gets that done in one take as well.
Oh, yeah. And he would tell you they've got it as well. Like, he'd go, yeah, we've got it, and he'd walk off. And then producers have to be like, please be in focus.
Yeah.
Please be in focus. Tell me we got the focus point
He
right.
knows.
Do you think next year, when they've got the polar opposite of this, when Mercedes put Antonelli in the car...
No, it's not going to be him, is it? It is.
If they put him in the car next year, right, and they've gone from the most mature F1 driver on the grid to a bloke that I think there's a genuine chance does a TikTok emote on a podium, like he might do the gwiddy on the gwid. Like, there's a genuine chance that this kid is like they're going to do the he will do a Fortnite like emote of some description in his like first intro. And although I can't blame him for it. But yeah, no, Lewis knows what he's doing with all of his stuff all the way through. And he takes the best, like his official driver portrait. And we talked about them as well. Yeah. Like he's got his like, right, 3, 2, 1, bang, right. Cheers, mate. We'll see you later. Like,
scroll through his Instagram story. It's just good the whole way through. He doesn't miss. The guy doesn't miss. And I think that's why a lot of people are quite excited about the whole Ferrari move, because I think there's a whole lot of good stuff that's going to go with Lewis to Ferrari, and I think good things will happen. Whether Lewis wins that title at Ferrari or not, I don't know, but I think he takes a lot of goodness with him, and I think that's why people are so excited about it. I think the Kimi Antonelli thing. I think it was Naomi Schiff, I think, said it on Sky today. It's a little bit unfair to kind of pile on this 16.
It's horrific for him.
He's going to take over from Lewis, and it's like just chill, just a little bit. Yeah. There's other options around, like Toto. I think probably still has a share in Valtteri. Owns Esteban, I think.
Carlos is on the market.
Carlos Sainz needs a drive. Alex Albon could definitely do bits somewhere else. There's definitely options here with them, and I think this weekend is the first weekend that Kimi Antonelli actually drives a Formula 3 car. So he's got quite a fair way to go, and I think it would be quite rogue. I wouldn't rule it out, because they did also say that Toto's a bit terrified of missing out on the next Max Verstappen, like he did with Max Verstappen. But I don't know. I don't know. I could see a move to Mercedes, a seat opening up further down the grid, and Toto kind of going to Franz Tost or James Vowles, or Franz Tost doesn't exist anymore, and just go, could we...
He's just to clarify, hasn't died, does exist.
No.
Franz is still about, just not in F1.
No, he has avoided Helmut Marko's laser Death Star machine that's circling
the
around.
drone hasn't got him.
No. But yeah, I could see like Kimi Antonelli just going into like a Williams. But again, I still think like there's a lot to be learned in like Formula 2. There's a season in there, isn't there? Let's not... To be fair, if he's good enough, he's old enough, isn't he, at the end of the day?
Yeah. Which I'm going to try... Formula 2, I'm going to try and watch this year. I've never really looked at it before. And we've talked about this a little bit in a past pod. I've tried to get into Formula E, and I just can't. I've tried on 3 separate occasions to supplement my racing calendar, and I just can't get into Formula E. So I'm going to give Formula 2 a go. I'm going to see if that's my option.
Do you ever go back in the archives?
Yeah, I have gone back and watched from... Like, I've watched full seasons from like 2017 onwards. I've not sort of gone too far back pre that, but I've watched sort of some modern archive stuff. It's nice background viewing. It's sort of ASMR, just noise and listening to Crofty, who's going to miss some races this year. There's some other news for you.
There are some mad races from like the late 90s that I could do a little bit of research on and provide you with like a podium of late 90s Grand Prix to just buckle up with. I think you quite enjoy them. And I think as well, I think after a while you would get to a point and you'd go, engine noises are very important to me.
Yeah, I mean they were important to me in Formula E. It's annoying listening to those mosquitoes, but yeah. So maybe I'm gonna bring some F2 chat potentially to the pod this year as well, if there's some
Zane Maloney Stan account
going on there. I think Ollie. I just know of Ollie Behrman. Ollie Behrman looks like one of my mates, and he just seems like a nice man.
Get him on the pod.
I'm gonna be a Behrman fan. There you go.
Go for it. Why not?
Oliver.
Nice. Is that us done?
We're on. That's us done.
Tasty.
Happy days.
Thanks for listening. Thanks for
listening.
Oh, we've ruined the outro this week.
No, we haven't. We're just saying thanks for listening, and then you froze.
Oh.
Like Kimi Antonelli on the grid in Bahrain next year. He just forgot which pedal was go and which pedal was stop.
I've had an accident, Toto. Not that kind of accident. Yeah, no, it's been good. It's been a good chat, and hopefully the race is better than this conversation. And we will catch up on Monday/Tuesday for some kind of post-race conversation. We will ask for questions and takes and comments and things like that on the social media. So make sure if you're not, you're following us there, which I suspect you probably are. It's unlikely that you've discovered this by not doing it. But that'll happen, and we will awards or confirm our lap down of the week nominee, our PP nominee, and also we are going to give an award for kind of toss pot of the week, are we, or spanner of the week, or
yeah, I think we need to look at the tool of the week, the jack off of the week. we need to look at there's a lot of praise that goes on people that do good things, and I don't think enough spotlight is put on those that have an absolute stinker. So I think we want to start trying to highlight some of the people, not necessarily all drivers. It could be teams, it could be people within teams, it could be people outside of the worlds of the actual on-track action, but we're looking for. And if you've got your nominee as well, as you watch the race weekend, it might happen in an FP session, it might happen in quali, it might happen in the race. If you see someone that you think should be tool of the week, let us know who your tool of the week is, and then we'll catch up on each one after each race weekend. Are we a doubleheader? We are a doubleheader for the first 2 rounds, aren't we?
Yeah, we are, yeah.
Go straight to Saudi.
Yeah.
How exciting.
I won't be around.
So you're going to get 2 lots of us next week. Blimey.
I won't be here. I'm not here.
Hey, when do you go?
I'm in America.
We're gonna have to do a recap and a preview in one pod, double bubble episode.
Yeah, we'll figure it out.
We'll figure it out. Anyway, we'll see you next time.